Good morning, Music to Grief to playlist people. It's Wednesday. We're back with the amazing Sharon Ayers from Grief Reiki. Sharon, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day to you and
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, yes, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. But yeah, how what's been your experience of Valentine's Day? Are you a fan of the chocolates and the flowers and the cuddly bears?
You know, we were just having the conversation about I would rather have, I'd rather have my significant other show me that love and affection all year round. And Valentine's Day is kind of just the icing on the cake. So I think, just getting attention focused on Valentine's Day kind of defeats the purpose, right? I mean, you really want to know that someone cares and loves you all the time. And that's more important, at least to me. I'd rather have a whole year round thing than just freak out on one day because I didn't get some chocolates or I didn't go to some expensive dinner.
It's that space for me as well. It's like there's now this social conditioning that if you don't get your chocolates or you don't go out for a nice meal, then you failed, and Valentine's Day has become this opportunity for disaster.
Exactly. People fight and break up and whatever else they do because they didn't get what they thought they should be getting on Valentine's Day, even though they get it all the rest of the year. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that one.
It's the expectation thing, isn't it? And it kind of does, it bleeds into, I always go back to the whole 5 stages of grief, and that everybody thinks they have to go through the stages because that's what they've been told. And it's,
Right.
There's that people think, well, Valentine's Day is about, buying things and having, and it's not that, is it? I mean, it's a unique thing.
No, and I think when you've lost somebody, I mean, for me, losing my former fiance and thinking back on all the different Valentine's days, I mean, I found a card, in fact, that he had written me that said, I love you. And it was just a random thing, right? It wasn't a Valentine's Day thing. It was just a random thing where it looks like he sent me some flowers and said, I love you. And I'm thinking, that means more to me than some big teddy bear I have stuffed in my room that to remind me of him. So I think it's just the everyday stuff.
I mean, what we're looking at this week is part 2 of the course, which is focused on, the emotional aspects of how you go through grief. And that's, you get these special days like Christmas, like Valentine's Day, like birthdays, and they're tough. I mean, I understand that there's parts of the course that deal with that. How do you approach that?
Yes, we have a whole lesson about it, just because I think what you were just saying about expectations, that, people assume that they have to be happy on these days because it's Christmas or because it's Valentine's Day, when in reality, their heart's broken and the last thing they want to do is even be around people. So I think what we talk about is respecting where you're at on your journey and throwing all those expectations and social norms and quote unquote, and all the things that people want you to be doing, and thinking about how you feel on that day. So if Valentine's Day brings back a lot of painful memories, you don't have to act like you even know that it's happening. I mean, it's okay to avoid that day. It's okay to protect yourself and, do some self-care. On the other hand, if Valentine's Day is something that brings back wonderful memories for you, and you don't have a loved one that's around, but you want to go, have a Valentine's Day dinner by yourself, or you want to, get a cake and send yourself some roses, go ahead and do that. I think you have to do what's right for you and not what society thinks you should be doing or what other people are telling you should do.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's that external aspect where you get days and there's the expectations. And I'm, coping with them and developing tools to deal with that, I think is super cool. But there's the internal aspects as well, isn't it? I mean, you talk about, when you go through a breakup or you go through a loss, your heart hurts. That you can
it does, literally
feel it ache. Is that something that you address in this part as well?
Yes, actually, we have a whole module on how to repair your heart. There's a beautiful quote, and I'm not quite sure who the author is, so I apologize for that. But it's, it says, all healing is the healing of the heart, begins with the healing of the heart. And I think that's so true. I mean, if your heart is broken, it's so difficult to really move forward. And grief is something that definitely is about a broken heart. And I'm not saying that, your heart will repair and be perfect and you'll move forward like nothing happened. That's not true at all. But your heart does repair. I sort of equate it to a mosaic. How there's a mosaic and it breaks in all different kinds of pieces. And slowly but surely, as you're going through your grief and you're feeling those emotions, it starts to put itself back together, not in the same way that it was before, but in a different way. And that doesn't mean that different way is bad. In fact, I feel like my heart burst open in a way that I never would have expected. I have more compassion and more understanding. So there is an entire module, a few lessons in talking about how to face your emotions, certain behaviors that you should avoid that contribute to, you not moving forward. And then the emotional energy centers that we have in our body, because energy plays a big part, especially with the heart. The heart kind of balances our physical and spiritual well-being. And when the heart goes down, right, because it's not working well, and you put the wall up because you don't want to feel the pain, then you start to experience physical symptoms and spiritual symptoms as well. So the heart is a really big focus of the course in this part, in part 2. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And I think the biggest point to make about the heart is to just let it feel, as hard as it is and as painful as it is, rather than avoiding it and putting the wall up, just to let whatever emotion you're feeling come out.
I think that's one of the massive challenges of the of this generation, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we don't, well, I can't speak for anybody else, but there is that desire to be constantly on, to be constantly looking at the next thing, to have such an amount of input that you don't actually deal with you don't have to deal with what's underneath, because there's always something new coming in.
Right. And I think living in Los Angeles, where we're always on, I think we've talked about that. There's this perception that you have to be a certain way. We call it, in the grief recovery method, we call it Academy Award winning grieving, where, you walk around with that smile on your face and people are saying, so how are you today, Andrew? I'm fine. I'm great. Doing great. And really inside your heart is just about ready to, to fall apart. So, we don't want to be judged or analyzed or criticized by people. And so we put this kind of fake face on that leads people to believe maybe that we are doing fine, when in reality we're not. And so I think that's one of the other things that's important, and we go over in this part as well, is letting go. Either let go or let yourself be dragged. And a lot of people prefer being dragged than they do letting go of something and actually experience it and putting it behind them.
Very cool. All right, we're going to touch a wee bit more on that on Friday, but the introduction to the course, part 1, is free. You can click on the link there, I think, and it'll be down there. Check it out. But yeah, part 2, some amazing tools and resources that quite literally can help you when you're grieving. So Sharon, thank you very much. We'll see you all on Friday. Happy Valentine's Day. Love.